Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today we're jumping straight into Matthew, chapter 5.
Hmm.
Picture this. Someone teaching on a mountainside, crowd below, disciples near, and what he starts saying, it's foundational stuff. But honestly, pretty counterintuitive right from the get-go.
Oh, absolutely. It really flips expectations instead of, rules first. It starts with describing a state of being, a character,
Yeah.
and calls that blessed.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that. It kicks off with these 9 blessed are statements, the Beatitudes.
Right.
And the first one is immediately different. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Poor in spirit. That doesn't sound, well, blessed in the way we usually think.
No, it doesn't. And it just keeps going like that. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted.
Comforted.
Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled.
So these are describing states like humility, deep sadness over what's wrong, gentleness, this real ache for things to be right.
Exactly, a kind of deep longing. Then it moves to actions, or maybe character traits expressed. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy.
Makes sense.
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God.
Compassion, integrity, actively making peace. Got it.
And then the 8th one hits hard. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Whoa. Okay. So facing opposition for doing good is blessed. That's really turning things on their head.
It is. And then it gets even more specific, aimed right at the listeners there. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me.
So suffering specifically for following him?
Yes. And the instruction isn't just grit your teeth and bear it.
No. What is it?
It's rejoice and be glad. Seriously. Because great is your reward in heaven. And then there's this connection made. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you.
Ah, so it frames it as joining along perdition, and there's a promise attached.
Precisely. It suggests this hardship, for this specific reason, actually brings this unique blessedness and, well, future glory.
Yeah.
It's a totally different perspective on suffering.
So these blessed states, they're about an inner reality, a character that might not look successful to the outside world, but holds real spiritual weight and promise.
That's a great way to put it. It's definitely a countercultural stance on life and, what really matters.
Okay, so if that's the character, the being, then the teaching shifts to the doing, or maybe the impact, using these metaphors. You are the salt of the earth, and you are the light of the world.
Yeah, powerful images about identity and influence. You are the salt of the earth. Salt back then was crucial, right, for preserving food, adding flavor. It was valuable.
Yeah.
But there's an immediate warning. If the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It becomes useless. Good for nothing except to be thrown out and trampled.
Losing saltiness. For a person, that means. Well, becoming ineffective, just blending in so much you don't make a difference.
I think that's the idea. Losing that distinctiveness, that character we just talked about from the Beatitudes, becoming just like everything else. And, well, losing your purpose.
And the light metaphor. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden.
Right. Light is meant to be seen. You don't light a lamp just to stick it under a bowl.
No, you put it on a stand.
Exactly. To give light to everyone in the house. And the point isn't just being seen, it's why you're seen.
Ah, okay. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds. So it connects to actions.
And praise your Father in heaven. Yes. The good deeds aren't for self-glory. They're meant to point people towards God. It's about living in a way that actually reveals something about God to the world.
Okay, so identity influence. Then the focus shifts, again, to the law. This must have been huge for the audience, he says very directly. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets.
Which some people might have worried about, perhaps.
Maybe. But he says, I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. What does fulfill mean here? It sounds like more than just, ticking boxes.
It definitely is. It's not about ending or discarding it. It's more like bringing it to its intended meaning, its completion, revealing its full depth. And he stresses its permanence. Until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished.
Wow. So the law remains incredibly important. Not set aside, but deepened. Is that the idea?
I think so. Deepened or perhaps shown in its true light.
Yeah.
And how you relate to it matters. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven.
Versus the one who practices and teaches them, they'll be called great.
Right. There's a clear consequence tied to your approach to these commands.
And then comes this absolute bombshell statement, which kind of sets up the rest of the chapter. Unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, that's a shocker.
Surpass the Pharisees. I mean, these guys were the definition of meticulous rule keepers. How could anyone possibly do that?
Well, it sounds impossible if you're just thinking about external actions, right? More rules, stricter rules. But the text immediately starts showing what kind of surpassing righteousness is meant. It's not about quantity of outward acts, but the quality, the nature of the righteousness itself. It has to go beyond just the external and get to the heart, the intention, the motivation.
Okay, so moving from the letter of the law to the spirit.
Exactly, which we see right away in the contrasts that follow.
Yeah.
You have heard that it was said, and then, but I tell you.
Right. The first one tackles murder. You have heard, do not murder. Standard enough.
Standard enough. But then, but I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother or sister will be subject to judgment. It goes straight to the root emotion.
And it even mentions specific insults, like calling someone raka, which means something like empty head, maybe?
Yeah, a term of contempt. Or calling someone you fool. These insults are linked to serious judgment, even the fire of hell. So it's not just the act, it's the underlying anger and contempt that's condemned.
Wow. And flowing from that, there's this really practical bit about reconciliation. If you're about to make an offering at the altar,
Like in the middle of a religious act.
and you remember someone has something against you, you should leave your gift right there.
Yep. Leave it. First, go and be reconciled. Then come and offer your gift.
That's amazing. Relationship repair takes priority over religious ritual.
It's presented as absolutely primary. Reconciliation isn't just nice, it's apparently necessary for your worship to even be acceptable. Address the broken relationship first.
Then there's that slightly different bit of advice, still about resolving conflict. Settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court,
Right. Almost like practical legal advice. Don't let it drag on.
because it could escalate judge, officer, prison, paying the last penny.
It seems to fit the theme, though. Seek resolution. Avoid letting conflict fester and escalate, whether it's personal anger or a legal dispute.
Okay, the contrasts continue. Next up, adultery. You have heard, do not commit adultery. Clear rule.
Very clear. But again, the standard goes internal. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart.
So the desire itself, the internal act, is judged, not just the physical act. That's that surpassing righteousness again.
Exactly. Dealing with the root cause, not just the outward symptom.
And this leads into those really extreme-sounding images. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off.
Yeah, those are jarring.
The reason given is stark. Better to lose one part than have your whole body go into hell. What's the principle here? This isn't literal, surely.
Almost certainly not literal self-mutilation. It's hyperbole, exaggeration used for shock value. The principle seems to be about radical, decisive action against sin. Whatever is causing you to stumble, even if it seems precious or essential, like an eye or a hand, deal with it ruthlessly. Cut it out of your life. The stakes, eternal consequences are that high.
So drastic measures for spiritual self-preservation. Okay. Then divorce. The law allowed a certificate of divorce.
Yes, Deuteronomy mentions that. It was a regulation, perhaps, to manage a practice that was already happening.
But the teaching here tightens it considerably. Divorcing your wife, except for marital unfaithfulness, makes her an adulteress if she remarries, and marrying a divorced woman is also adultery.
It really elevates the view of marriage, stressing its intended permanence and setting a much stricter standard than was common practice.
Next, oaths. You have heard, do not break your oath, but keep the oaths you made.
Standard integrity, keeping your promises, especially those made invoking God.
But the shift is huge. But I tell you, do not swear at all. Don't swear by heaven or earth or Jerusalem or even your own head.
Right, these were all common ways people tried to guarantee their word, adding extra weight.
So what's the alternative? If you can't swear to show you're serious,
It's simple. Simply let your yes be yes and your no, no.
just say what you mean and mean what you say.
Exactly. Anything more than that, the text says, comes from the evil one. It implies that if your basic word isn't trustworthy, adding an oath doesn't fundamentally fix the problem. It's a call for complete, simple honesty in all speech. Your character should make oaths unnecessary.
Wow. Okay. Now, perhaps the toughest one for many people, retaliation. You have heard eye for eye and tooth for tooth, the principle of measured justice.
Lex talionis, yes. Justice should be proportionate to the crime.
But the teaching is, well, the opposite. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person.
That's the radical core of it,
And the examples are intense if someone slaps you on the right cheek.
which was a particularly insulting gesture.
Turn the other cheek also. If someone sues you for your tunic,
Your basic inner garment?
give them your cloak as well. If a soldier forces you to carry his gear for 1 mile,
Which Roman soldiers could legally do.
go with them 2 miles. Give to those who ask. Don't refuse borrowers. This is not just not hitting back.
No, it's actively responding to injustice or aggression with unexpected generosity or submission. It's refusing to mirror the evil, breaking the cycle of tit for tat. It's a profoundly challenging call to nonviolent counterintuitive response.
Yeah, challenging feels like an understatement. And building right on that, the final contrast is about love. You have heard, love your neighbor and hate your enemy.
A pretty common way of thinking, right? Love your own group, be wary of or hostile to outsiders or opponents.
But the command is, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
That might be the absolute peak of the countercultural teaching in this chapter. Love the people who are actively trying to harm you.
And the reason given, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. How does the Father model this?
By his impartiality. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. God's basic blessings aren't withheld based on people's behavior.
He doesn't just bless the good guys.
No. And the text points out, even tax collectors generally despised love those who love them. Even pagans greet their own. That's just basic reciprocity. The call is to a higher standard, reflecting God's own universal, non-discriminating care, even toward enemies.
So taking all of this together, the upside-down blessings, being salt and light, the law fulfilled in the heart, tackling anger, lust, easy divorce, casual oaths, retaliation, and then loving enemies. The chapter wraps with this final command. Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect.
Yeah, that's quite the conclusion.
After everything we've just heard, what does perfect even mean in this context? It can't mean literally flawless, can it?
Probably not in the sense of being utterly sinless in every action. Given the immediate context of the Father's impartial love for enemies, it seems to point towards a kind of completeness, a maturity, an integrity of character that reflects that divine nature. It's about striving towards that same kind of expansive love and righteousness that goes beyond mere human standards of fairness or reciprocity. It's the goal, the aspiration, embodying all these teachings.
Oh, okay. That's a lot to take in. We've gone through this vision that is just incredibly demanding. From blessedness being found in unexpected places, to influencing the world distinctly, to understanding the law's real depth, and then all those specific examples hitting at our core reactions: anger, lust, self-preservation, retaliation, loving only our own.
It really lays out a standard of righteousness that starts deep inside and demands a radical shift in how we see everything, ourselves, others, God. It's like
Yeah.
living by the rules of a different kingdom entirely.
It definitely offers a profound and, yeah, deeply challenging way to live. So as you think about this, dive into Matthew 5, maybe consider this. Which one of these teachings feels the most difficult, the most counterintuitive for you personally to wrestle with today? What is it about that particular standard that makes it so hard to live out?